Many couples who are getting married this year has either postponed their wedding or highly considered the idea because of the whole restrictions and uncertainties around their wedding day. We understand that it must be very difficult to navigate these things, so we thought we wanted to share the experience of one of our couples who had just had their wedding on the 19th of September 2020. It was one of our first weddings to shoot after the lockdown, but it turned out to be very beautiful and, if I can say, such a perfect day for them. Here's their story. So Laura and Herbert, thanks so much for agreeing to be interviewed today to share your experiences about planning your wedding. How did you feel? What went through your mind during that time?
I think we were very optimistic though. We thought lockdown might just happen for 2 or 3 months, so we can still make it. We were just hopeful every day that they would ease restrictions. And they did. So what we did was we quickly, we still respected the friends overseas. So we just asked them, hey, do you still want to
quarantine?
Yeah, do you still want to quarantine? Come, I really want you to come. But if you can make it, then that'd be great. We started off just families first. We invited families first, and then if some family was, not I want to use the word scared of the
anxious.
Anxious, yeah. If they were anxious, then and they didn't come, then we would just go look. Start inviting the closest friends. So we kind of had to do it that way with the guests. So it was mainly family first, and then close friends, and then whoever we can fit in. Then we'll keep going down the list, basically.
Make those decisions as things eased up, and I think in March as well, it was more important just to make sure that we were both financially stable and, had our jobs and just kind of was just trying to foresee what would happen. So, yeah, I think in June when things started looking better, pre-Victoria, that's when we were let's just go ahead. Because I think, as we said, we did think about the options of postponing or cancelling or just going ahead.
Yeah. To me, I thought there's no point because we don't know when it will stop. So, if you keep dragging it next year, and then next year they still don't have any a solution for it, like a vaccine or whatever, then you just keep delaying for another year. So, we had friends that were supposed to get married at May, and he delayed it for 1 year. And he looked at us after that wedding. He's like, look, he shouldn't have delayed it. He's like, it was pretty much all.
It was a bit different because in May it was lockdown.
But I guess he didn't have to delay 1 full year. Maybe he could just delay half a year.
And I think the other main reason, the only reason, apart from being forced to cancel our wedding based on the government, was that we were only really considering postponing based on the international borders. That's what we were playing around with because we did want our overseas friends and family to come and join us on this special day. But, as all the articles were coming, I was like, things aren't going to open until 21, 22, and it's there's no point.
So what was the pros and cons? What was the tip of, how did you come into the conclusion, no, we're not going to cancel, postpone? Yeah. What was the,
I think when lockdown hit, we just decided to halt. We just stopped thinking about the wedding.
Because that was day by day. Basically. Yeah, we just looked at the news every day to see if she eased any restrictions. But I think the big factor was Laura and my family. Our majority of our relatives are in Australia. So the thing was we just looked at who's overseas, who's important that we want them to come, and if they can come, then that'd be great. If they can't, then they even suggested, look, organize a Zoom meeting, Zoom it live that day. They can even watch it on Zoom if you do organize it like that. But it was too much effort for us. There's too much going on. So I just sent photos to them. But yeah, one of the big factors was our families were here.
Yeah, and they were really, I think because we've been together for quite a while, our families, my family was sort of keen to just see me getting hitched. So they were like, don't worry about delaying it. Yeah. Everyone else is already here. My grandma had stayed here. My grandma had come from China actually before our lockdown because back when it was a big thing in China, and she managed to stay here since then. And so, she was here, all his family were here. And really, I think, after the hiatus from the big lockdown in March, in June, things started looking better. we'll cross that bridge when it comes. I was banking on the fact that there would be 4 square meters per rule, and we were lucky in that our venue was also very big. We had actually factored in a much bigger venue than we needed, which worked in our favour, so that we could have everyone in Australia, in New South Wales, who could come in the end, and we didn't have to do any culling of invitations or anything like that. So yeah, pretty much then it just steamrolled on. We can just tell our friends and family if we can't hold it. Everyone reads the news. Everyone knows if you can hold a wedding or not. So yeah, that made our decision easier.
Yep. So the middle ground became the rules. Hey,
yeah,
we just basically followed the rules instead of like opinionated, but we just follow the rules. Gotcha. So what sort of different maneuver that you took during the pandemic? Well, I think you kind of like mentioned how you just basically not think of the wedding, and I noticed that June was when Laura started bugging me.
It was like March, April. I went radio silence on everyone, and then I was like, we should see what happens, just because we had started paying all the deposits, and I was like, I'm just gonna like reach out to everyone now.
Now that you had the wedding now, right? What were some of the things that you had to sacrifice?
Sacrifice the dance floor. I think
I wanted a dance floor.
She wanted like a good solid 45 minutes of dancing.
Because we hired a singer and a DJ, and obviously the DJ couldn't do as much.
Yeah.
So that was probably the biggest change for us, I think.
The only concern was like the high risk people. So like, I think the thing we had to factor in was like, okay, some activities I have to go to my grandma's, and she was like a really high risk person for COVID. So it was just like, I think it's just like how you manage it. Like, say like, back then I told you, Santa, like, when you get there, just wear masks,
we dropped off our bridal party because we had such a large bridal party, and obviously with all your team there, we knew that there was too many people. So basically asked half of them to not come to his grandma's place with us, just to help, not have too many people in the house, to be a bit more spacious, to allow a bit more space. But yeah, aside from that, like, we were able to proceed with everything. The one thing we did have to do was, because of our door games, we made sure that we weren't doing anything that involved him kissing or, being too close to someone else. Yeah. Just being conscious of those little things. But apart from that, I think it went really well. By the time we got to the reception, I think for us, because we had been going out to eat at venues as well beforehand, just for dinner and things like that, there was no change for us. I mean, you could tell the tables were very spaced out. Being a venue that actually can fit 250 people, we only had about 80. So the tables were very spaced out, but it was absolutely fine. I think we've started to become used to having all this space to ourselves, being able to breathe, not being able to touch someone that close. And it actually worked out really beautifully, because I can't imagine the venue being full like anymore. Like, it's sort of like makes me uncomfortable thinking about how close the tables would have to be if it was at full capacity.
Everything we wanted to happen happened.
Yeah,
basically.
I think the only thing I remember being conscious about leading up to it was that, because no one can mingle on the evening, it's like, what can we do to make sure people aren't too bored? That was one of the things that were quite important to me, and that's when I helped ask my bridal party to help with some games. That's why it was
that you can play, just
COVID safe.
Yeah, COVID safe.
I was really glad about us hiring an acoustic duo in the end, because that helps at the ambience.
But surprisingly, there was interaction when you were just at your seats. You were there when we were just asking questions, playing those games, and it was quite fun. So
What did you think about the same day to close the wedding? Huh?
Yeah,
it was very good.
Very good. Like, my close friends, like from the bridal party, they came out and that's the best entertainment to really like close the wedding. To be able to see what happened during the day, and then other family friends who missed out on that see it. That's just it's amazing, because I don't know how to describe that feeling. Like, it's just like, what happened just then? Like, even the dance, like my friend came up, oh my God, like the dance just happened 20 minutes ago and it's in that video. It's like what? It's like what the hell? Like, I would recommend all couples to do that.
It was just something to end on a really sweet note, because it allows all your guests to be part of your special day, essentially.
Exactly, yeah.
Most guests you only see at the ceremony and the reception, and for many couples or many wedding couples with a lot of activity in the morning, you know, it just gives them a chance to be a part of that, and it just kind of ends on a really sweet note, I think.
And you can share it straight away to the people overseas who missed out. Hey,
exactly. Yeah. I literally just sent your link over to them basically straight away.
How are your vendors? Yeah, just giving you a bit of background in the wedding industry. Every vendors are struggling, you know, with all of this. And every vendors that I know, everybody wants to help couples, right? Yeah. It's in our DNA. Otherwise, we will not be in the wedding industry. But it is a struggle, you know, to keep helping without no end in sight. So I think it'll be great for you to share some of your experiences with these vendors, and if you found any suggestions from vendors that made it the day easier or whatever it is.
You know, everyone was saying how, you know, it was a really tough time for everyone, not only themselves, but they were really empathetic to all their couples that were struggling in that period. You know, everyone was really, really sort of positive with the way that they were communicating with me. It was more like, you know, we understand it's tough for you. Let us know if you need to postpone, if you want us to postpone, and we can work with you on those dates if we can. And I think that response was just really, 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 really great. Just because it just eased I guess, our anxiety, just that little bit of anxiety that we had, just knowing that everyone was playing it by ear, because everyone doesn't know what's going to happen, and you know. But then I also knew how much of a pain it was to reorganize a date where everyone was free. You know, I think with Santa, I think you would be aware when we were trying to organize our engagement shoot, you know, so many dates weren't free just to hire for 3 vendors. So it was just like to reschedule for the 5-6 vendors that we have on top of that for a wedding, to try and fight for a date later on when everyone else has already booked their weekend weddings like 2 years ago, and then everyone's postponing to a date next year. It was just like, not worth the hassle. But I knew that I had the support from all the vendors if we needed it.
For couples thinking to postpone, you know, because that is the main purpose of this video, trying to give them a different perspective.
I think about why you're postponing first. Like, think about the actual reasons. For us, it was overseas friends. That was the only consideration for us. We were going to work with whatever restrictions were in place. But our main reason, if we were to postpone, was for the international borders to open. Because all our friends and family were very supportive, we had most of them here, we were able to sort of make that decision early on.
And surprisingly, a few friends came out and they went to me and said, like, this is the best wedding ever they've been to. Like, I was surprised because, pandemic wedding, you know, we have to make compromises.
We don't know about the low bar.
But then they came, like, I could see it, like, they were just, like, so happy, like, you know, I was really surprised. So, you know, anything can happen, basically. Just make it happen, make it work, and just enjoy it, basically.